Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Comic Book Nostalgia. I'm CB Nostalgia, and we have a little update on Thor: Love and Thunder. Well, earlier this week, we got our first trailer for the upcoming Thor sequel, Thor: Love and Thunder. And we also got our first look at the mighty Thor. Now, as many of you know, she made her first appearance in Marvel Comics, and based on a recent merchandise announcement, it appears a very big characteristic of that comic arc is making it into the movie. Let's take a couple minutes to talk about Jane Foster, her taking up the mantle of Mighty Thor, and what actually is going on in her personal life that's driving this whole story. Now, before we dive in though, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and ring the bell for all the updates. Also, the big giveaway. We're going to give away this Oculus Quest 2 at 50,000 subscribers. All you need to do to get in our giveaway is be a subscriber and leave us a comment. Also, while you're at it, make sure you check out that free Week of Skillshare down below. It's a pretty cool way for you to develop your superhero skills for that never-ending war on crime, all while not diving too deep into your pockets. Also, it really does help the channel, so we really appreciate it. Well, if you're familiar with the Jason Aaron run of the Thor comics, you know a lot happened leading into and out of Jane Foster becoming the mighty Thor. We know very little about Natalie Portman's version of this character and how this is going to come about. We did see a leaked photo of her at a shrine where the remains of Mjolnir were in New Asgard, but we don't know why or how she becomes the mighty Thor. Now, in that Jason Aaron run, in case you didn't know, Jane was not well when she takes up the mantle. She actually had cancer. And while becoming the God of Thunder made her healthy, the transformation back and forth actually progressed the disease. Now earlier, we got a description of a replica helmet. This is the typical merch that comes with many MCU films, and it appears to actually confirm in the MCU, Jane Foster will indeed have cancer. This is what it has to say. Suffering from cancer, astrophysicist and ex-Thor girlfriend, Jane Foster visited New Asgard and her life was changed forever. Mysteriously, the broken pieces of Mjolnir, the hammer of the Thunder God, transformed her into the mighty Thor and gifted her the superpowers of Thor to battle threats internal and external. Wielding Mjolnir herself, she has become a godly protector and a new hero was born. With the help of Thor, Valkyrie, and the Guardians of the Galaxy, the mighty Thor was faced by Gorr the God Butcher. With divine power himself, Gorr was driven to rid the universe of gods wherever he found them. Battling cancer in her human form and Gorr in her godly form, Jane was embroiled in an epic struggle with plenty of love and thunder. Now, there's a ton in this description, and there's a lot of theories that are sort of surrounding what's going on in the Thor Ragnarok sequel. Quite honestly, I could totally see her cancer diagnosis being the reason she goes to New Asgard, maybe potentially to look for a cure, or maybe to have a final goodbye with her old flame, Thor Odinson. Now, in the comics, Jane eventually succumbs to her own cancer, but this is after quite a career as the mighty Thor. I have to wonder if that will happen in a future sequel, but it does pretty much sound like this is the rising of that character in the upcoming film. Now I have to say, this is the kind of passing the mantle story that I think often works. The best part about this comic, and unfortunately Jane being sick, is it gave a clear end date to that reign of the character. I think fans are often squeamish about mantles being passed to new characters, especially if there's a major change to the character. But the mighty Thor, at least for me, kind of worked because we knew Thor Odinson would one day return. He wasn't actually written out of the comics, and I don't think he's going to be written out of the MCU, although I do think for a film or two, he might take a step back only to return at some point in the future. When Jane finally does die, she actually dies at the hands of Mangog. Well, she defeats Mangog and then she passes away. But she does return in the comics as the new Valkyrie, and that might be the exact direction these movies are taking this character. We'll have to wait and see. I just simply don't think Chris Hemsworth is going away forever, but I do think they're going to give Jane a little bit of time as the God of Thunder. Now, obviously, as we get more info about the movie, we're going to find out a lot more about this. I do suspect the leaning on Jason Aaron's comics is going to be deep, so I do recommend you get over to Amazon and check them out. I've linked a couple of them down below. It's definitely worth your read with this film coming up so close. In any case, what do you guys think? Are you surprised the MCU version of Jane Foster has also been stricken with cancer like her comic book counterpart? And since we know her days are limited with the title, how long do you think Natalie Portman is going to be engaged with the MCU as this character? Sound off in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure you hit like and click subscribe. And if you don't ring that bell, you're not getting any updates. Peace.